Well, hello there, Disneyland fans. It's time to get the pop quiz class started. Welcome to the Blue Sky Vid-Cast. I'm your host and instructor for the day, Don Morin. And today we're going to have an intermediate level Disneyland Resort pop quiz. That's right, a pop quiz, so take out your pencil and paper, folks. Stay tuned, and we are about to test your Disneyland knowledge. Now, don't forget to fasten your buckle and pull on that yellow tab, because this here's the wildest show in the wilderness. Okay, Disneyland fans, here we go. Keep your eyes on your own paper back there. Everybody ready? Good. Question number 1. In what city did Walt Disney originally want to build Disneyland in? Walt Disney originally envisioned a small theme park across the street from the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. But as the plans and dreams grew larger, he realized there just was not enough space, and he began to look around the surrounding suburban and rural areas for the ideal spot, eventually finding a 160-acre orange grove in Anaheim, California. All right, question number 2 on our pop quiz today for Disneyland. How many attractions were there on opening day of Disneyland in 1955? Disneyland opened with only 13 attractions. Although 2 more were added later the same year, you can still enjoy many of the same Fantasyland attractions today. Snow White, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and Peter Pan were all here, as well as the Carousel, the Mad Tea Party, Casey Jr., and the Storybook Land canal boats. The Jungle Cruise was here at opening and was considered the height of technology. Autopia leaned into the future, and of course, the Disneyland Railroad surrounded it all. All right, folks, pop quiz question number 3. What is the abominable snowman's name inside the Matterhorn mountain at Disneyland? You can call him Harold. Named for no particular reason by some cast members, Harold is a ferocious creature who attacks any humans on his mountain, which happens to be the Matterhorn bobsled riders. He is described as huge and scary, with white hair and large feet, and has a pair of red eyes that glow in the dark shortly after his roar is heard. All right, now we're off to question number 4. Here we go. How many babies have been born in Disneyland? Wow! Can you imagine being born in Disneyland? As of 2020, there have been 4 babies born inside the parks. And of course, Disney gave them the youth discount on their tickets when charging their entrance fee. Just kidding. All kids 3 and under go into the park for free at both Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. All right, I hope you're doing good so far after 4 questions. Now, question number 5 in our pop quiz. What was the first added attraction to Disneyland to exceed the original cost of building the entirety of Disneyland originally in 1955? In 1977, Disneyland opened Space Mountain. This landmark attraction, boasting the first enclosed roller coaster and computer-operated system, is one of the most popular rides in the park to this day. It cost $18 million to build in 1977. 20 years earlier, they spent $17 million on building the entire park. That shows you how Disney has continued to challenge themselves in bringing us the best experiences they can. Okay, moving right along, we're at question number 6 in our pop quiz. Disney legend Thurl Ravenscroft, the voice of Tony the Tiger, they're great! And the uncredited vocalist for You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, narrated many Disneyland rides and attractions in his life. Do you know how many attractions his voice was used on? Mr. Ravenscroft's awesome deep baritone voice was used on 6 different Disneyland attractions. You can still hear him as Fritz in Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, as well as the Tangaroa Tiki God out on the entry lanai. Thurl is several voices in Pirates of the Caribbean. He is the first mate on the Mark Twain, and he can also be heard as Uncle Theodore, the lead singing bust inside the Haunted Mansion. And here's some bonus trivia for you. If you head to Walt Disney World, you can still catch Thurl in a favorite role as Buff the Moose in the Country Bear Jamboree, which used to be at Disneyland too. He even used to be the voice of the Disneyland Railroad in the 1990s. We are certainly grateful for his contributions to our experiences at the parks. All right, we're really moving through these questions now. We're at number 7 in our pop quiz. How long did it take to construct Disneyland? Year. Disneyland was an enormous undertaking. It may have only had 13 rides when it opened, but it laid the foundation and boundaries for everything we have enjoyed for the last 64 years. When originally building the park, they had to contend with moving thousands of trees, creating islands, hills, and valleys, and a complete waterway system, not to mention all the structures and attractions. They built Main Street USA and a fantasy castle. They had to build the first steam-powered sternwheelers constructed in 50 years, created a jungle and a desert, and design and fabricate scale locomotives and attraction vehicles and other ride systems. And they had to contend with labor union strikes, bad weather and supply shortages, and despite all of this, they completed the building of Disneyland in just 1 year. Wow! All right, it's time for pop quiz question number 8. What is the oldest item in Disneyland today? On July 11, 1956, Walt Disney purchased the remains of a petrified tree that once stood 200 feet tall from the Pike Forest fossil beds, a privately owned petrified forest area in Colorado that is now part of a national monument. It's really neat to imagine a 200-foot tall pine when you visit the fossil in Frontierland. Walt arranged for the tree to be sent to California for his home and as a present to his wife Lillian. More than a year later, Lillian presented the tree to Disneyland Park, reportedly saying that the tree was too large for the mantle at her home. All right, I hope you're doing pretty well on this pop quiz so far, and now we're on to question number 9. In 1998, after 40 years of faithful service, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarine voyage closed. 8 years later, it reopened as the Finding Nemo submarine adventure. Do you know what other Disney film the ride was almost themed as? Part of the reason for the delay in reopening the ride was the plan had to change late in the design phase for the refurbishment. Disney Imagineers were planning on reopening the ride as Atlantis, the Lost Civilization. But in one of Disney's least successful releases, the movie performed poorly at the box office and the idea was tanked. Tanked, get it? When Disney legend and Imagineer Tony Baxter got his hands on a copy of Finding Nemo, he had a spark of imagination, and the rest is history. Okay, and the final question in our pop quiz, number 10, which ride opened with the renovation of New Tomorrowland in 1998 and closed in September of 2000? We close out our list with perhaps one of the most beloved and hated rides in all of Disneyland history, the Rocket Rods. The ride was actually quite fun and had very long lines during its short lifetime. It was plagued with problems though. The sponsor for the ride was not willing to pay to rebuild the People Mover tracks to accommodate bank turns, which resulted in a slower ride experience and ultimately damaged the tracks beyond repair. The cars had to speed up and then quickly slow down to accommodate the flat curves, which ultimately caused irreparable damage and the ride had to close. And Disney has not moved on the issue. We have been looking at the empty tracks for 20 years now. So as you can imagine, between replacing the People Mover and ruining its tracks, the Rocket Rods are not exactly remembered fondly by most Disneyland fans, even if it was a bit of a fun ride. Well, Disneyland fans, how did you do? Go to the comments below and let us know your score best out of 10, and we'll be sending out report cards soon after that. I'm sure you did great! Thank you so much for watching today. We really appreciate you. And if you're enjoying our videos, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel so you can bring a little more Blue Sky into your home each week. Be sure to grab your belongings now, watch your step, and enjoy the rest of your day here at the Blue Sky Vid-Cast. Bye-bye.